read. Johnny on the spot. He's now at City Hall with an important conversation with City Councilor Joe Giarrusso. Good morning to you,
Good
Winston.
morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we're in the recovery phase following that storm, and local officials and first responders and utilities, they're handling that recovery. Joe Giarrusso, thank you for joining me. What's your first takeaway following that storm, particularly when it comes to the infrastructure here in the city of Louisiana, or city of New Orleans?
Well, two things. Number one is right now everybody's focused on that power restoration for people who've been out of power since 5, 6, 7 o'clock last night. Want to make sure that people are getting their power restored as quickly as possible. And then obviously trying to get answers on sewage and water board. There was flooding that took place last night. Largely suspect that was because of the rain. Also lost power for a period of time, which probably took this longer for reducing the flooding than normal. So those are kind of the 2 or 3 things. Last one, people are going to work right now. We still have street lights we were talking about off camera that are out. Please treat those like 4-way stops and be careful.
And I know the Sewage and Water Board talks a lot about the turbines and the reliability of their system. So, I mean, how do you examine this post-storm and get better from this?
Well, look, I mean, the getting better part is we have a new substation that's coming online in 2025. We have a new turbine that's coming online in 2025. So those are the most immediate things. The hard part last night is there's 5 electromotor diesel engines, EMDs. Those essentially function as one turbine, but they all went offline not once but twice last night. So that means they had to fire up turbine 4, which is 109 years old. When you're relying on a piece of equipment that dates back to World War I, that's not your best move. That's not their fault. The fact is that's what exists. So how do we make sure that they don't have these type of power problems in the future?
Flooding was a major problem overnight. We talked to a couple families who were frustrated and some are just taking it in stride. You talked to me earlier this week about some examining of certain areas, particularly in your district, Holly Grove, Mid-City, Lakeview. Holly Grove and Lakeview received a majority of that flooding. Where do you and other leaders stand now in terms of examination of the drainage in these areas, and how do you guys really tackle the issue in these areas?
Well, look, we're really frustrated right now, myself in particular, because we've known about this flooding issue in Mid-City, in Lakeview, in Holly Grove for 3 years now. We've been pressing for a drainage study. It's been delayed for a variety of different reasons by the city. It's supposed to be ready, the first part, in September. That's okay, but then how do we make sure that what's in there is being implemented as quickly as possible? So I'm frustrated by the delay and the fact that we have not just Hurricane Francine, but other storms that are creating problems, and we got to address that flooding as soon as possible.
What is the goal of the drainage study? I mean, what do solutions look like in these areas?
Yeah, so some of it could be additional pumping capacity, some of it is enlarging drainage, and then the last part that's important is retention of water too. We know that we're going to have to retain more water given how much is coming out of the sky. Where are the strategic places that make the most sense to do that? Where do we get the most bang for our buck, and how do we make sure we're doing this in a smart, green way?
And last question, I want to go back to Entergy. On social media, I think on X, you had some frustrated people asking about when is my power going to be restored, and you let them know that some areas are going to be prioritized over others. That's how Entergy kind of approaches the restoration process, right?
That's exactly right. You explained it perfectly. The more technical answer is people are on feeders. The more amount of people who are on a feeder that have been affected, they're going to be the first priority. So if you have 5,000 people on a feeder versus 1,000 people on a feeder, the 5,000 group is going to be dealt with first. Energy's in the field right now. They said they're doing damage assessment, and my hope is that damage assessment goes quickly so they can get to repair.
And when is the next conversation going to be? When is the next meeting for that examination, by the way, for those areas when talking about drainage and flooding?
Well, I mean, it needs to be as quickly as possible. I know there's going to be a post-mortem the council's going to do next week. I think we're looking at next Monday, but Councilmember Morrell wants to make sure that everything is in place as quickly as possible. We have an internal briefing with the mayor's office at 10 o'clock. There's a mayor press conference at 11:30. So my hope is that people are pushing out the information as quickly as they can.
And anything you want to say to the residents of the city, as we are on the back end of this storm, any message you want to send?
Well, the message I want to send right now is all of the media has done a really good job of communicating with people. We need the stakeholders who are in charge of the utilities to make sure that they're putting out as much information as possible so residents know and can make their plans appropriately.
All right, thank you, Joe Giarrusso. We appreciate your time. And that was Joe Giarrusso, City Councilman, and you just heard him talk about Entergy, power restoration. Just be patient, as Entergy has a particular process, and they prioritize certain areas over others based on the way they approach things. And as we go through this restoration process, the city leaders are going to start to examine some of the weak points within the city. At least that's the hope from Joe Giarrusso that you just heard from. Reporting live at City Hall, Winston Reed, WWL, Louisiana.